You are listening to Keith Price's Curtain Call. And we are back. It's Keith Price here on Keith Price's Curtain Call. And I've got a little bit of a treat. Everything is a treat for me when I'm doing this because I love bringing people to you that this is my first opportunity meeting someone who I just explained to him that my partner had a CD of his in his collection of things that I never realized that he had. And when I told him that I was going to be interviewing Hershey Felder, who is here with me on the Curtain Call, he was like, "Oh my God, you should get this music." And Hershey was like, "Well, thank you for having that."
Let's not give away my secrets.
Let's give it all away. Just, you know what I mean? Because sometimes it's good to know that there's artists that are like, I like my stuff, but I'm doing something different. And it's really great because you just told me, no, Hershey Felder is here with me along with the director, Trevor Hay. Hey, Trevor Hay. And he is here because I have him exclusively because this is hot news, y'all. Hershey Felder is in town for one night only here in New York City. And he is performing as one of, I guess, America's probably most prolific, one of the most prolific songwriters of the 20th century.
And perhaps the greatest. I think you could make the argument that he was the greatest songwriter.
Yeah. Hershey Felder's giving you Irving Berlin, honey, at Town Hall this upcoming Monday, June 6th at 8 p.m. for a special show that's making, I guess it's New York premiere because it has been touring for the last 2 years. So, Irving Berlin, again, from a dramatic place, Hershey, what is so appealing about Irving Berlin to you from a dramatic place as his story unfolds? What's about it that appeals
strangely, that I didn't think anything was dramatic about it when it's true.
It's true.
I had absolutely no idea or thought that I should even do this. I'm glad I can make you laugh. They paid me big money to do this, so, It's true.
So this story came to you, not you thinking.
You're kinda. It goes. Am I allowed to use expletives?
You can say whatever you
This
want.
is great.
You got to tell the story.
Okay.
Yeah.
Say it.
So this was years back. It was before I met Trevor even, and probably now it's 2006. So we're 10 years. I walked into the Geffen Theater in Los Angeles. I was going to perform George Gershwin. I was known for George Gershwin alone that I had done here at the Helen Heights Theater. And I walked into the theater, and before I even started, Gil Cates, who was the director of the theater, said, "You need to play Irving Berlin." I said, "What? White Christmas?" He said, "Jingle writer. What do you want me to play, Irving? You need to play Irving Berlin." And he pestered me for years. "You need to play Irving Berlin." I said, "But I'm doing Gershwin. I'm doing Beethoven. I'm a serious musician. It's not for me." "You need to do Irving Berlin." Finally, it's now 2010, 2011, something like that. "You still need to play Irving Berlin." I said, "I really don't want to. You need to." Fine. I said to him, "But why Irving Berlin?" He says, "There's a story there." And he pestered me. And I said, "Look, I don't really see anything in it, but did you ever work with him?" Now, Gil, you should know, was the director of the Oscars, and he had directed 14 Oscars.
Yeah.
He says, "Well, once, almost." I said, "What happened?" He said, "Well, it was a tradition that you never did anything with Irving Berlin's music without calling Irving Berlin, no matter how old he was." Right. And at this point, it was 1988, he was 100 years old. and Gil said he wanted to open the Oscars with "There's no business like show business." And he said, so he went to CAA. He somehow found a friend who knew Irving Berlin's home phone number, and he picked up the phone and he called him. And he said, "Mr. Berlin, this is Gil Cates. I direct the Oscars. I would really like to open this Oscar ceremony with, there's no business like show business." And Berlin said, "You would, now wouldn't you?" And Gil said, "Yes, I really would like to." And Berlin said, "Good, go f*** yourself."
Click.
And he hung up the phone.
Yep.
And I looked at Gil and I said, "Gil, what story would you like me to tell here? I don't know that that's an evening of theater. You know, we've got Keith laughing here, who likes drama.
No, you know why? Because Irving Berlin sounds like every person of a certain age who just doesn't give a shit. I don't care.
Yeah, he did.
That's what I feel like saying, and I'm going to hang up the phone because I'm old. Don't bother me.
Don't bother me. Well, he was also old and miserable at this time. And I said, Gil, what story? He says, go hunting for this story. Okay, so this went. Now, this actually, Trevor was with me when this. You were with me.
Yeah,
we were there with his friend Vivi at the time, and we were in the theater. And Gil says, you all promised me Irving Berlin. I said, fine, I promise Irving Berlin. 2 weeks after that, he walked out to his car after a happy day of work. He put his key in the door of the car, and he promptly fell dead from a heart attack. And the last thing I said to Gil Cates was, I promise I will play Irving Berlin. Okay. So there you sort of think, okay, if I don't want the Lord to strike me down in the street, I should probably do this. But then it was our friend Eva Price, the producer who's in town. She's got On Your Feet now on Broadway. And Eva said, you should do Irving Berlin. I said, not you too. It's the kind of thing. By the way, people who tell me that drop dead, so be careful.
Yeah, and Irving Berlin swears at them. So.
Yes.
Oh my God, Hershey Felder is here with me, and Trevor Hay, he is also here, his director. And you're starring as Berlin, and he's going to be doing a show here in New York, June 6th at the Town Hall. And one of the things that I think is really interesting is that June 6th?
Yeah, Monday.
Yeah.
I did it right. At 8 o'clock here at Town Hall in New York City. Townhall.org.
You're
for
on the
tickets.
press list, so make sure you be
You
there.
know I'm going to be there, but I don't like to flaunt that. I want the people to feel like I'm one of them.
Can I tell you something? Nobody's coming for me. They're coming for you. So
You better show up.
you better show up.
We're going to have a riot.
We've told the press that you are showing up.
Keith
We
is gonna
want
be here.
Keith.
This is what they say all the time. They want me, but they never call. So... But we're, again, Irving Berlin is one of those names, like I said before, he's prolific, his music is really genuine. But what is so deep and compelling about his story now that you've spent the last 2 years touring and talking about it? What is it that you found about him now that you can cling to be able
one
to
of the
show?
reasons we tend to go around as sort of the Hay Felder circus is that I don't have to answer those questions. and what did you call him? Hey, how to do it again?
Trevor Hay.
So,
Good. It's
hey,
good.
can
I'm
I
gonna
tell you
use-
that from hey?
No, that's a little nasally. That's a little.
It's Jewish.
That's a little Upper East. Yeah.
You got to bring it down to Harlem. Take it downtown.
Oh
Take it to
man,
the east side
you
or
don't
something.
want to hear my Harlem. It's not. It doesn't work, man.
Well, you're from Canada. I'm not expecting you
Don't
to do a
tell
lot of-
people that. I'm trying to. I love Canada. By the way, with the way things are going, be nice to me. There are a lot
I
of
know.
people who want to go. So anyway, hey, it's over to you.
You're getting there. You're close.
Hi.
Well, I mean, again, only because I feel like, to get people to, I mean, we know his songs, so if you're going to be singing his songs, that's really great. But if there's a story about Irving Berlin that you feel like the world should know.
It's pretty incredible. I mean, really, here's a man who lived over 100 years. And when you look at his life journey, it's the American life journey. It's how the country grew up. It's how American music grew up. What's the great quote about Irving Berlin? He has no place in American music. He is American music.
He is.
It's true. And, he struggled, came from nothing, had no training. He was a singing waiter on the Lower East Side, was busking songs, got a couple of hits. And by sheer determination and grit, he was the American dream, and he married well against the odds. There was paparazzi, there was all this attention, there was ups and downs, the Great Depression. He was very savvy as a businessman, incredibly gifted as a lyricist and musician, even though he had no training and really couldn't play. He had a special piano that had a lever that you could move over to change the keys, and he had 3 or 4 of those made. There are only 3 or 4 in the whole world. And that's how he would write, or he'd sing to his assistants, and they would notate and write the music for him. But he was absolutely gifted and really a generous man, a real American. Really appreciated where he came from, and as an immigrant, right? And we're very topical,
That's
right?
extremely
And how we feel about that, how we treat that, what we do. What the Statue of Liberty is all about, what the new Colossus, what the poem says.
Right.
Give me your tired and poor. I mean, he believed it. He didn't just act it. He wasn't just a business decision. That's what he did, and he continuously gave back. And he would waive the rights to songs and give them to the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts of America. He was constantly a mensch, And then the country outgrew him. And then Elvis, and then Vietnam, and Kennedy shot, and all of that. And he was lost.
Wow.
You know?
Well, I think, it's interesting because I think that period that you're talking about, I was having a conversation with somebody just about theater history and how in that period of theater history, there was a lot of change because it became so much more about what was really happening at the time. And, before, I think, especially during Irving Berlin's day, it was about trying to keep that out of the music consciousness because everybody was so miserable. Right. So everything had to be up and peppy and, something hopeful every time. Right. So I think that's an interesting point. It's sort of like, and that's how he got lost. So,
But, even before, and here's a guy who cast Ethel Waters, before anybody was putting any African-American, even would even think about putting him in a show, more or less the lead or a title role, top bill. And he wrote Supper Time. Way before Strange Fruit, way before, and he was right on the cutting edge. Nobody was doing that in the 30s. Are you kidding me?
Right.
That was, and he believed it, so he did it.
Wow.
And when he was in the Army, his group was the first fully integrated Army unit in the history of the United States. And they were performing, but he was the first one. He was on that cutting edge, and not for show, and not for press, and not because it was good for his agent told him to. It's because it's what his heart told him to do.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. Trevor Hay.
Hey.
So Trevor Hay, director
Try it again, Hirsch.
Of Hershey Felder's Irving Berlin, or Hershey Felder as Irving Berlin, and both Hershey and Trevor are here with me. And, it's funny when you talk about that, and doing what was right and not doing what was expected for show. Right. It's sort of like, do you both, at some point in time, do you have that kind of underlying desire of yourself? Like, you just want to do your things?
I just always want to get ahead. It's all about social climbing.
Typical Canadian.
It's all about...
Unlike us Americans, who are altruistic.
Exactly.
I can't even say that with a straight face.
I know, right?
It's all about where you get to eat and who you eat with.
Exactly.
I think, what it comes down to is when you get to a certain point in your work and your career, you sort of, you have to find the balance between being able to pay rent, which is, of course, people ask me, well, why'd you do this? So, eventually you have to pay rent. It is a job, and you have to do it, and you have to deliver for the public. But ultimately, the idea is, and I think we've all learned this, and Trev and I have learned this, is that you have to stay true to what you believe artistically and what you actually believe ethically. And if you do, then everything comes to you. And it may come slowly. You may not always win right away, but you got to get up and you got to look at your face in the mirror. And you got to say, am I okay with what I'm doing today? And I'm the kind of person who needs to be okay with what he's doing today. Not everybody does. And there's place for everything, Look, I'd really love to be a money whore. Just whore. A total whore.
Total whore.
But you know what? And maybe if I was, I'd be a little bit more... broadly known all over the world. I have my niche. People know our work. People know what we do. And hell, I've been on a recording with James Barber, back from...
Name drop.
It's just...
Look, you can tell your partner that you have met the Hershey Felder.
Who knows the James Barber. That's a double drop. Bang,
not
bang.
only knows James
Boom,
Barber,
boom.
but actually played a C major scale under him singing Edelweiss or something,
Look at that.
No, but it's a gorgeous voice. But the point is that maybe I'd be infinitely more movie famous or whatever. Who knows? Doesn't matter. Yeah. But I decided that what I needed to do was something that I believed in, something of a certain level, and I stuck to it. And it's nice how it's paying dividends this way for a lot of people.
Fabulous. It's a lot of responsibility talking with Hershey Felder here.
Indeed it is, isn't it?
No, I'm saying from the place of being the lead of a show and there's a lot of responsibility that's placed on you because, as much as we love us some Trevor Hay, Trevor Hay as director, it's his bread and butter is dependent upon how you handle yourself when you're on stage, and you have to do that as well. Am I right?
Mm-hmm. But I think, do extol my virtues, Trevor Hay.
Well, what Hershey has always emphasized is the team. There's one man on stage, but there's a dozen of us making that happen. We've got a great team of designers. We have a great office staff. We have he's the front man, and there's no escape. He never leaves the stage. Never,
I'm the fraud.
he never takes a sip of water. He never stops.
Wow.
His motor goes 100 miles an hour, but we do a lot of work to make it look easy.
Yeah.
Well,
And he's incredibly gifted. I mean, it couldn't happen if he wasn't as talented as he is. And he put together a good team. We really did.
And I'm grateful for the compliment of talented, but what I think, if I may take that one step further, or not even further, but just sort of reroute, I'm committed. I'm totally committed to all of us, what we're doing.
But then after 10 years, they let you out, and then you weren't committed.
I'm not sure they've let me out. I think I'm still rather in.
Yeah.
Yikes. And so, but the truth is I'm totally committed to our level of work, to the quality of work. And also, we were working today, we were just studying and preparing for Monday night. Because we've got this and we've got Bernstein and we just finished some other thing. I mean, and I did a Gershwin thing here in New York on Tuesday. It's constant change, constant. You have to be ready, and the idea is responsibility. And the responsibility is not only just to the art form, but it's the people who support the art form. So there's a lot going on there.
It's just again. So here you are. I hadn't even a chance to talk about your other upcoming show because you're going to be coming back to New York in August to do Hershey Felder as Leonard Bernstein in Maestro. And again, so you Gershwin, Berlin, Bernstein. Those are three pretty huge sets of shoes to be walking into to try to recreate and tell some of their story. It's like, who else is next on your list?
Well, there
are some others.
There have been others that have been quite successful. Beethoven, Chopin.
Yes.
Upcoming is Tchaikovsky.
You did Liszt.
I did Liszt. I mean, we've done a series of things and our own stuff. We also have other shows that we produce and do and whatever else. But in terms of composers, having those three, I mean, it's the unifying factor. They're Americans and they're Jews. I got the nose, man. I got the nose. You got the Harlem. I got the nose.
That should be on the T-shirt. Got nose.
I got the nose.
Got nose.
You said anything goes on this show, man.
Seriously, we got to copyright that right now because someone's going to hear this and they're going to take the got nose idea, and I'm going to see that like walking down Times Square. I'm going to be like, you mother effer, you took my got nose idea.
Again, though, I mean, but it's interesting, though, because you've chosen, in terms of your expression with this, you've chosen all of these great composers. Mm-hmm. It's like, what else interests you? I mean, it's sort of like you have to be focused and direct on this, but do you have any outside interests besides composers?
I have an outside interest. I love to eat, man. But other than that, I mean, in terms of this artistically, well, I love good food. The whole thing started with really needing to pay rent, because I was an actor, I was a pianist, but the auditioning. I auditioned once, and I said I never want to do this ever again. And it's an awful process. Yeah. And we've talked about this, the prospect of what actors actually have to live through. It's funny, I'm acting, I've done, 9 different roles, over 4,000 live performances, which is more than most actors alive, Mm-hmm. And I've auditioned once, and I determined early on that this is just not something I can do. I don't audition well. Mm-hmm. I don't show my wares properly in an audition, and I don't know that I'd be interesting in one. I had to develop, some kind of craft, and I figured, well, I've got the piano and I've got acting and a little bit of, singing is just enough to, do what I need to, Ethel, she's fine,
yeah.
But what was very clear to me was that I wanted to tell stories.
Yeah.
And it so happened that I did the Gershwin and it became a success. Well, then, I wouldn't say I got put in jail because that's not fair. It's a great jail to be in. But then all of a sudden it worked. And then the public really wanted to see more of these composers talking to them. Mm-hmm. And they're not museum pieces, where you sort of have a composer quoting himself and long hair and sitting down and playing. It's not that at all. Yeah. They're very alive pieces. And you'll see Monday night. I mean, you may think it's dead, but it's okay. I know what you look like. I'll shoot you from the stage. It's, and I know what seat you're in because I put you there. So you just be careful. You keep those eyes open, man. Anyway, so and my point being that I have lots of outside interests. And those of you who have come to the theater and are listening and have not turned off their cell phone, do so now, otherwise your seat will explode. So all this to say, I have lots of outside interests, but our work, that we do is not just what I do. I mean, we create and direct. We have a show opening for a second time in London, The Pianist of Willesden Lane, that played here last season. Mm-hmm. It was a huge sold-out hit at the St. James this season, and going back to open it again, in September. So we've got international shows. The company is a group of a dozen of us, and we both produce my things and other people's things. And, Trevor directed a number of things, and then Joel's has directed a number of things. So we're busy. We're doing things. We're having a good time. But interest really, I think, would say is crafted pieces of music theater. I think that's what we do. Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, I'm very excited and very intrigued to see what you're going to do as Irving Berlin. And
intrigued is a safe word.
No, I mean because I don't know what to expect. I mean,
that's great. That's what's fun.
That's when you go. That's when you go see a friend, in a show, and it's horrible, right? And then they come out and you go, "Man, you were so in that. You were totally up there, man. That was something."
Or as my friend used to say, "I can't believe you have to do that every night."
Man, that wig, you got to find something.
Except from Texas, where you learn, like, people would put their babies in front of you, and they're always, the baby's so cute, and you're like, "Oh my God, that's the most beautiful bassinet I have ever seen."
Where are you from, Keith?
Originally from Texas.
Where from? It's been sad news there, Dave.
Yeah, a lot of the rain.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Scary. Where from in Texas?
I grew up in Galveston, and then I went to school at UT Austin, and I lived there for 9 years in Austin.
Austin's such a great town.
Austin's the best.
I love it.
It's the best.
I enjoyed some of the architecture. We were touring in Houston last season, and we took a stop to Galveston.
That's where I'm from.
Yeah, it's a very cool architecture
cool.
there.
Yeah, it's
way
beautiful.
cool. As long as the monsoon doesn't come and blow it up.
Yeah, the hurricane coming and flood you.
You have the antebellum stuff that's there, and
gorgeous,
then you have like a lot of the classic stuff left over from when all of the different countries were taking over Texas, and then you have the $1 Million Beach property now that we never had when I was growing up there.
Right. All the houses on stilts.
On stilts, yeah.
And then you've got that joint where we ate the greasy spoon with the right there on the corner. Do you remember what that joint was?
What was that called?
Oh, that was the most amazing food. You go and you can order. There's lots of places where you could stand up at the counter and order, and they have different areas in this restaurant, different levels. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I'm trying to think of of course, it's been a long time since I've been home.
So maybe it's after you, but it's just right on the beach.
Right on the bay, right on the Gulf.
Yeah, on the Gulf. Well, we had the most fabulous seafood restaurant there is Guido's, which they get nothing. Yeah. I get nothing from talking about Guido's, but Guido's is one of those. It was a staple. They used to have a giant blue crab on a stilt, and then the last hurricane blew it away. So
be free.
Go back to your home.
Go back to the ocean. You see that we started talking about theater and we wound up with food again.
It always
This is not an accident.
I think we're all just hungry.
Yeah, that's what it is. Let's go get something to eat and keep talking.
But again, if you're going to find yourself in New York City on Monday, June 6th at 8 p.m. at Town Hall, you're going to get a chance to see Hershey Felder as Irving Berlin, directed by Trevor Hay. And again, if you miss him as Irving Berlin, shame on you, first and foremost, but then you have to catch him when he comes back as another persona, as Leonard Bernstein, who, again, that's an interesting story.
Boy, he's a complicated guy. Great guy.
He's a fun guy. He's a hard guy
character.
to play. Yeah, he's a hard guy to play because it's so intense.
Yeah.
But the audience loves it, and it's a complicated contemporary character who is, full of problems. So it makes for good dramatic material.
That's the best. That's the best. And again, and at least with this one, you're going to be here for a minute. You're not going to just drive by like a town hall.
I don't know. Depends how it goes. I could be here for longer than a minute. You never know. Yeah, you never know.
You never know. Well, Hershey Felder's going to have to give me all the tea, as the kids would say back at home. And again, this is amazing. I love when folks are taking the time to do what they love. And this sounds like, this is all, it's a lot of work, yes, but it feels like it's passionate work that you are very, very committed to, as you said before.
I don't think I could do it if I wasn't.
If you weren't.
Yeah, I don't think, it's all fun and we laugh and it's hard and we cry when it's hard. But the truth of the matter is we're in it and we love it.
Mm-hmm.
And we're able to do it because we love it.
Yeah.
And I think if we wouldn't love it, we shouldn't do it.
Absolutely.
And if we didn't love it, it would show in the work.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It'd be so
And
obvious.
you can't be charging people ticket prices that people are charging.
Not
and
in New York.
You don't like it.
Not in New York. They don't forgive.
We don't forgive, honey, because money is too tight to mention.
That's right. Exactly.
You should dye your head and do a Mick Hucknall Simply Red moment.
And I'm so stupid that I have no idea what he's talking about.
But you do.
I
yes.
do.
See, Trevor Hay is with me. Trevor Hay's been with me this whole time, Hershey.
I'm like clueless, man. I don't know
You're
what
cold. You're so cold.
I'm not cold. I'm stupid.
Simply Red wasn't big in Canada, eh?
Oh. But then I'm also showing how old I am by bringing him up.
Yeah, and how old I am by corroborating. I'm like, oh, yes. I don't know what you mean.
I've never heard that. Is that new?
Do they play with Justin Bieber?
Oh, my God. That's the Canadian we don't talk about in this
Right?
room. I love
Look,
it.
I don't talk
He who
about
shall
it.
not be named.
First of all, the Canadian. I left Canada 25 years ago.
It's-
or more than that, maybe 30. What am I having for?
But you
I
got
left
the-
Canada 31 years ago.
But you got the Maple Leaf tattoo on your ass, so that's your stamp.
Yes.
Hey.
I actually don't know anything about that, but no.
He was asleep, wasn't he, on tour?
Yeah, it's
And
kind
they
of
came at me with a ketchup bottle.
it's kind of a company joke. We don't like to.
I can't. But wow. So again, though, and if they want to find out more about Hershey Felder and everything that's going on with Hershey, where should they go?
It's just Google. You put in the name. It's funny. It's like chocolate bar Felder,
Hershey Felder on Facebook has a lot of updates.
yeah,
and-
that's right. So.
Can't.
I mean, but the good thing, you're such a great audience. You giggle, and if you don't giggle on Monday night, there's going to be hell to pay, man.
Well, then you got to be funny.
I usually am.
Oh.
Well, I was funny here, and you didn't
Yeah.
pay, so there you go.
See, that works. That works.
He's
I'm
going to be
down.
stone faced the whole night.
Exactly.
That'd be
You
great.
have, like when you have
Just
industry in the room.
Yeah, pretty much.
Prove it, Felder.
Okay, so since we're doing this,
Yes.
I want opinions.
Okay.
American Psycho.
I found it to be a really interesting show.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that I had a hard time with was I wasn't sure who was it ultimately going to appeal to in terms of bringing a Broadway audience.
Mm-hmm.
Like I got the whole macabre, bizarre, let's do something different on the stage
Mm-hmm.
thing. I was down for that, and I like the idea of the music being different.
The 80s kind of send up.
Yeah. But for me, the hard part was, trying to figure out who it's going to ultimately appeal to. I mean, the message is pretty fierce, but
Hamilton.
Hamilton loved.
Great.
Hamilton loved.
What would you choose as a season's favorite for you?
Ooh.
Well, you
Out of
haven't s-
everything,
yeah.
like, do I get a revival and a best musical?
No, whatever. Yeah, the thing
Okay.
you enjoyed most.
Your Tonys.
My
Keith's
Tonys, certainly for best revival, I would definitely say The Color Purple is the show. And now that they brought Heather Headley in, it's amazing. I love how you get my opinion. It's great. Hamilton, of course, hands down, is going to pretty much be the new piece of theater that's going to take
The
over.
cleanup show.
Yeah, it's a cleanup show. But I think that what's going to happen is Hamilton is going to really do well with a lot of the creative stuff, and maybe one or two of the performances might get a full-on award.
Right.
Because I think that show is really about the ensemble
Right.
Yeah.
than it is about any individual.
Right,
Although
right,
Leslie Odom Jr. is phenomenal, but I want Danny Burstein to win.
I thought I saw that. It's funny. About 3 weeks ago, maybe I took a kid for his bar mitzvah to see the show.
Oh.
And because I said, "What show do you take a kid to bar mitzvah? You take him to Fiddler on the Roof."
Fiddler on the Roof.
I cried like a baby from beginning to end. And I mean, when we get to the end, and she's singing "Far from the Home I Love," I was a friggin' mess. And this is stuff that I grew up with. I mean, I come from immigrant family. I know this stuff very well, and it's the
Well,
nose.
my parents were immigrants too.
Right. From
We're
where
from
were they?
Honduras.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
So where were you born? You were
I
born
was
in
born. I was born
Galveston?
in Brooklyn, but I moved to Texas when I was
right.
6, and so yeah.
Shout out Brooklyn.
Shout out Brooklyn, yeah.
Well, Brooklyn to Galveston.
Brooklyn to
Well,
Galveston.
there's a trip.
And a
It's
quick.
a natural segue.
Exactly, but don't believe me, honey. When I did not let any grass grow under my feet when I was able to leave.
I
Trust
can
me.
imagine. Galveston feels hard. You know what I didn't like about Galveston was the weather. That was not pleasant.
Not pleasant, and the beach is not. It's
Nice,
not like going.
not pretty.
I just came from Hawaii.
Oh,
a few weeks
well,
ago,
forget
and
it.
so now any beach that I go to,
Yeah.
you garbage.
Yeah.
I can't get into it.
Right? No, the beach there is unpleasant. It's just unpleasant.
It's just, but when you're growing up there and you don't necessarily know of a better life, it's
Right.
one of the most beautiful things is like getting up and driving to high school every day. And,
Right, yeah.
Look at the coast. Oh my God, look at the sunrise as I'm driving to school.
And then you go to Brooklyn and you go, look at the bombed out buildings.
Especially when I was born, because, I'm a little older. So,
Not
yeah.
that, well, you don't look it, so there.
Oh, it's because I shaved the goatee.
Oh, you had a goatee? Seriously?
Goatee and
How long
gray
ago
hair,
did it? How did gray hair?
Yeah.
No.
Yes. Look at the arm. Look, we're having a moment now here. Look at the arm. I got
The
gray
dude
hairs.
is showing us his arm hair. I
See?
swear to God.
This interview is never. You're never going to have no experience.
Respect
like
the gray.
this.
Respect
the gray.
I'm afraid
High five, baby.
that you will never have another interview yourself like this.
You don't know me very well, Hershey,
Oh,
baby.
well, apparently.
You don't, honey.
Well, look at this. The thing is that we're getting back to Fiddler. Yeah, I was really touched. I thought it was very, very, very moving.
I'm just making sure that my next guest. Hey, Chad, did someone go get Geneva? I think, okay, they're all good. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I don't want my
Oh,
other
but
guests to
please, it makes me so happy when somebody of your stature does.
wait. Again, you don't know me, Hershey Felder.
Oh, but I know your stature, baby.
You don't worry about what I know, because I know a lot, honey.
Well, look, you've got your computer out.
I
You're
got my
fine.
computer, I'm fine.
Fiddler, first of all, it's an indestructible play.
Yeah.
There's that. So, it takes a hard lot to fuck it up.
Yeah.
But I was really moved, and I thought Cher's production actually captured a cleanliness and a simplicity of what the story is, and modernized it in, look what's going on in the world. Mm-hmm. It's bonkers.
It's bonkers.
We
But
have
that's how it makes
somebody telling us that, and you're getting back to Irving Berlin, figure it this way.
Yeah.
If Irving Berlin never made it to America because Donald Trump built a wall,
Yeah.
let's just say, the Christians wouldn't have any songs for their holidays.
It's true.
All the good ones are written by Jewish people.
You wouldn't
wouldn't even have a good holiday.
White Christmas and Easter bonnet, and and it's because these guys were storytellers, and they came where the stories, and it wasn't social climbing, and that's the thing that people make a big mistake thinking that I can get advancement, I'm going to write a Catholic song for the holiday, and they're going to buy it and so on. No, it's actually believed to be a part of something.
Yeah.
And for all of the name calling that used to go on in the old days, Berlin said this is who they were. You called people names. That's how you referred to them, but it wasn't what we've got today.
Yeah.
There is something about doing this show in this time that is very, very moving because we're going through so much craziness.
Yeah.
And it's hard to believe what we're going through. It's like, how did we get here?
Yeah.
How did we get to the Stone Age?
Back to the Stone Age.
Yeah.
Back to the Stone Age. Well, Hershey Felder, thank you so much. And Trevor Hay, how you doing? I just gave him the look.
That's good.
You're ready.
Because Trevor Hay's got to go on too, but I got to behave myself because I do have a partner. Anyway, so June 6th, Town Hall. You must make an appointment to see Hershey Felder as Irving Berlin. And if that does not work, you must come back in August and see him as Leonard Bernstein, taking
great.
another compelling composer, lyricist, a composer who is actually one of those folks that did change the way people listen to American music.
Absolutely.
And so, bravo for getting it on, mister. I'm not mad at you. And when we come back, we will be talking to Miss Geneva Carr and a whole lot of other facts.